The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the holographic projection flickered to life, displaying the smoldering remains of Outpost Zeta-7. Commander Vex Thor of the Krillian Empire stood at the podium, his chitinous plates gleaming under the artificial lights, radiating satisfaction rather than concern. "The human settlement has been neutralized," Vex Thor announced, his mandibles clicking with what his species considered a smile. They were warned to vacate the disputed territory. They refused. Now they understand Krillian supremacy. In the observation deck above, Bella Martinez pressed her forehead against the cold, transparisteel window, her reflection ghostly against the star-studded void beyond. Her hands trembled as she watched the footage replay. Homes reduced to ash, the agricultural domes her parents had built shattered like broken promises. "Bella," the voice was soft, careful. Canet approached from behind, his footsteps deliberately heavy so as not to startle her. He'd learned that about humans during their 3 years serving together on the diplomatic corps. They appreciated the warning, even from friends. "They killed them all," Bella whispered, her voice hollow. 237 colonists. My parents, they were just farmers, Canet. They grew wheat. Actual Earth wheat on an alien world, and they were so proud of it. Canet, a 3Lee scholar with skin that shifted through colors reflecting his emotions, currently a sorrowful deep blue, placed a gentle 3-fingered hand on her shoulder. The elders warned against this. The ancient texts, the historical records, they all said the same thing. "What did they say?" Bella asked, though her tone suggested she wasn't really listening. "Never provoke the humans," Canet recited from memory. "For they are the only species born of a death world who somehow learn to love instead of merely survive. And that love, when transformed into its shadow, becomes something the galaxy has never seen." Bella turned to face him, and Canet took an involuntary step backward. Her eyes, those strange human eyes with their exposed whites, held something that made his survival instincts scream. Not anger, not even rage. Something colder, something calculated. "Tell me about the warnings," she said. Over the next hour, Canet shared what most species learned early but rarely discussed. Humans were an anomaly. They came from Earth, a planet that by all statistical models should have produced apex predators consumed by territorial aggression. Instead, it produced humans, persistence hunters who could track prey for days, who could survive injuries that would kill most species, who could adapt to any environment through sheer stubborn determination. But more importantly, humans had something unique. They formed packs not by genetics but by choice. They called them families, friendships, communities. And when those packs were threatened, humans didn't just fight. They became something else entirely. "The elders called it the Terran Cascade," Canet explained, his colors shifting to a worried yellow. "It has only happened 3 times in recorded history. Once during the First Contact Wars, once during the Plague of Andromeda, and once when slavers took a human colony ship." "What happened?" Bella asked. "The galaxy learned why Earthlings domesticated wolves and turned them into dogs," Canet said quietly. "Because humans don't just fight their enemies. They hunt them, across star systems, across decades if necessary. They hunt with patience, with strategy, with an absolute refusal to forget or forgive until justice is served. And they teach their children to do the same, passing down the hunt across generations if needed." 3 days later, Bella stood before the Human Colonial Assembly, her formal diplomatic uniform crisp and black. The room held representatives from 200 human worlds, and every single one of them had heard about Outpost Zeta-7. She didn't speak of revenge. She didn't need to. Instead, she spoke of wheat, of her mother's hands in the soil, of her father teaching children how to splice genes to make Earth crops grow under alien stars. She spoke of birthdays and harvest festivals, of love and laughter among the domes. Then she showed them the footage. When she finished, the silence in the chamber was absolute. Finally, Ambassador Chen of New Beijing rose. He was 147 years old, his life extended by modern medicine, and he had lived through the contact wars. "The elders tried to warn them," he said softly. "Do we proceed?" 200 voices answered as one. "We proceed." Canet found Bella in the ship's observation deck 3 weeks later, as the human fleet assembled, not a military armada, but something more frightening. Colony ships, merchant vessels, scientific expeditions, even pleasure cruisers. Every human ship within 50 light years had converged, and they'd brought their allies. Species who remembered human kindness, human medicine, human teachers and engineers and friends. You could still stop this, Kenneth said, though he knew she wouldn't. The Krillians are offering reparations. Territory, even Vex Thor's head. Not enough, Bella replied, watching another ship join the formation. They need to understand. Understand what? She turned to him and her smile was sad. That humans don't want to be warriors. We don't want to be the scary ones. We want to grow wheat and raise children and explore the stars in peace. But when someone forces us to choose between our nature and our loved ones, she gestured to the fleet outside. We choose our loved ones. Every single time. And we make sure the choice never has to be made again. The Krillian-human war lasted exactly 18 days. Not because the Krillians were weak. They were one of the galaxy's premier military powers. But because humans fought with something that couldn't be countered by superior tactics or weaponry. They fought with memory. Every ship bore the names of the fallen. Every soldier carried soil from Outpost Zeta 7. Every strategy session began with someone reading the list of the dead. Commander Vex Thor was captured on the 16th day. On the 18th, he stood before the same Galactic Council, where he had boasted of his victory, now in chains forged from the melted hull plating of the outpost he had destroyed. Bella stood at the podium where he had stood, but she didn't gloat. She simply said, "The elders warned you. Now you understand why." Back aboard the diplomatic vessel, Kanat found her again in the observation deck. His colors were a confused mix of emotions: relief, sorrow, admiration, fear. "What now?" he asked. Bella looked out at the stars, at the universe that seemed a little smaller, a little safer for humans and their friends. "Now we go home," she said. "And we plant wheat." Kanat's colors settled into a deep, respectful purple, the 3-Li color for understanding something profound. The elders had been right, he thought. Never provoke the humans, because humanity's greatest strength wasn't their endurance or adaptability or even their capacity for violence. It was their ability to love so fiercely that even the stars themselves would bend before they let that love be destroyed. And across the galaxy, the ancient warning was updated in 10,000 languages. The humans are kind. The humans are generous. The humans are peaceful, until they're not. And then, the universe itself holds its breath.